Well, hello there, friends, and happy Friday to you guys, wherever you're joining in this big, wide, beautiful world. Thanks for hopping on another Friday live stream. Let me know in the chat where you're watching from and if everything's looking and sounding good. I'm excited for a great live stream. We're going to be hopping in just about 30 seconds. It's going to be a good one. Well, welcome back to another live stream, guys. We're in for a treat today. We're going to talk all things church tech, and I'm excited that you're joining here. For all of you that are in the chat today, jump in and engage. It's going to be an awesome, fun time. It's so cool when we get together on these things where, you know, God's placed us in churches all across the globe in unique situations, all to accomplish the same mission. And so when we come together on these live streams, it's like iron sharpening iron, and we get to learn, we get to really just rub shoulders and have some fun, commiserate a little bit, you know, on the struggles that it is being a church technical artist. And sometimes that's really why I'm doing these. It's just little therapy sessions. So I'm excited to have you guys on. Charles in the house. Tim jumping on from Belfast, Ireland. Awesome. We got people in California. Hey, praying for you guys out in Cali. Lots of stuff going on out there. Totally different world for us here in Oklahoma currently, because this is what I woke up to this morning. This was my drive into church today. We got about, 4 inches of snow last night, and so threw it in 4x4 and made my way up to church, no problemo. But yeah, totally different around here, and I know for a lot of the Midwest. So what about you guys? Are you snowed in? If you are, hopefully you still got the internet working and everything's good to go. So let me know in the chat how you guys are doing on this Friday, 2025, kicking off. Hey, I'm still celebrating 2024. I don't know about you. It's so easy to move on past things, and just not look in the rearview mirror and reflect on what God did. That's something I'm guilty of sometimes, is not celebrating the wins of what God did. And even just here on this YouTube channel, we're going on year 3, completing year 3 now, I think. I don't know, time flies. Is this year 4 now that we're moving into? Either way, last year, I posted 48 long form videos here on the channel. Launched my first course for you guys, Next Level Live Streaming on a budget. That, if you picked up that course, let me know in the chat. Tell guys, hey, it was awesome. Hopefully it was. If it wasn't, you can always ask for your money back, I guess. But, we kicked off 2025 in a big way. If you haven't watched the tech tour that I released on Monday from the gift of Christmas, woo! Guys, I'm telling you, that was crazy. Next level, it describes it for sure. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to the gift of Christmas in Prestonwood, but it is something else. And I had hours of footage that I had to comb through. And it was stressful because it was literally just me. Usually I take my tech director with me just so we can glean as much as we can from these things. But Brian Bailey and the team there were cool enough to let me peek behind the curtain. I joked that it was a, 80-foot motorized projection mapped curtain. But a curtain nonetheless that I got to peek behind, and it was super fun. So if you guys haven't watched that tech tour, set aside 2 hours of your life, or break it up into chunks, and there's timestamps in that video. But super excited to share that with you guys. And obviously you can't apply everything from that, but you can take little pieces of what they do with excellence. And really my favorite part of that video was probably the end, where I got to talk to Brian about just the heart behind everything. Not just the gift of Christmas, but like the heart behind all of the technical things and the media stuff that they do there at Prestonwood. So thank you guys for being here today. Isaac, first time viewer, looking forward to hearing your insights. Thank you so much for being here today. I love getting to share my insights. You know, really, this is not like my personal ministry theology platform. This is just me documenting my journey as a worship and media arts pastor. So I always reserve the right to change my mind. So just know that going in. But last year we had some great people on the live stream, people like Drake Kelch and Bradley Bramer and Chad Vegas and others, just like so many of these experts in the field. And it was a great time. And so this year we've got a bunch on the docket. But today I'm super excited because I want to bring in to the live stream our guest. This person is an Emmy-nominated creative who not only is a phenomenal audio engineer, but he's also a musician, a videographer, and most notably, an Instagrammer extraordinaire. Would you guys help me welcome to the live stream Tyler Kerpsack? Let's go. What's up, Tyler? How are you doing?
What is up? Man, this is so cool what you do. I geek out over this kind of stuff too. So I'm honestly a viewer for half the stuff on my mornings going through YouTube. So I love it. This is cool.
That's awesome, man. Well, Tyler, if people aren't familiar with you, if they've not run across you, the algorithm has not shown your Instagram stuff to them, would you just kind of share a little bit about like what you're doing and kind of what your weekly rhythm is, where you're serving at in the church tech space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just going over the Instagram side of things, I noticed that there just wasn't a lot of advanced tips out there for mixing. It was a lot of like, hey, here's entry level. So I just was like, well, I have no attention span, so let me just make 10, 15-second clips of what I'm doing on a weekend. And, you know, I've been doing it for like a year and a half now. And one week it just blew up, I guess.
Wow.
I have some friends that we're doing it to, you know, friends are doing it together too. And just kind of seeing a new wave of the community in church tech world kind of come up has been really fun. We all DM each other and everything, so it's a very collaborative effort.
Yeah, I feel like there is a really tight knitness to our little tech community, which is cool. I'm learning that as I go.
It.
Yeah,
I love it.
Everybody encourages each other.
I mean, the rhythm, which is really weird because the rhythm of my week, I always told everyone like I stopped doing audio and studio work full time back in like 2018, and it's like my paid hobby, I guess. So my week is mostly in video world. So I own an agency and we help nonprofits and churches do high level video work. And so I'm normally on set and directing during the week. I don't post about that stuff because apparently no one cares about it, but that's kind of my rhythm. And so I did that because my mission field, I felt like, was taking what I learned in the actual industry and bring it to as many churches as possible. So it didn't make sense for me to necessarily lock down at one place, but if I could give that to multiple places at once, I felt like that was best using the gifts that God gave me and giving back to those communities. So
awesome.
That's kind of where I'm at.
That's really cool. So as you guys can hear, Tyler's a pretty well-rounded technical artist. He has a lot of expertise in audio specifically, and you guys drop in the chat any specific questions that you have, and we'll try to get to those throughout the live stream today. Tyler, how did you like get started in church technical arts? Like, were you just interested growing up, or how did that all begin?
Let me tell you, I started at a tiny church in Cornfield, Ohio, probably on a mix of some Behringer analog boards and those old Mackie VLZs, and I was just begging anyone to let me touch a board for the longest time, and they're like, fine, you can push a fader for this random church event or whatever. And so I did that for a long time, and I moved to Florida, and the first church that I went to here was like serial number 1 of the Avid D show. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna jump into this. And I just had some awesome mentors. Early on, Jared Toger, who's been posted on social media a lot, he started mentoring me, a couple other people, Phil Ramsey and Corey McNatt. And I kind of just went from there, YouTube University, right? And just learned my way through it. And I did bands for a while. I was like sharpening my skills doing music at the same time and figuring out like, oh, I got to make this sound halfway decent. But yeah, that was pretty much it. And on the secular side, I was also, when I was living in Ohio, I was 12 years old begging the house band at a bar to let me play guitar. And they said, you know what, you can play, but you have to manage the board the rest of the night. And so honestly, I was just like 12, 13-year-old kid in just this random, just rundown bar in Ohio, just mixing on a little VLZ Pro, just figuring things out. So that's where it all started, man. And then from there, you know, big churches, you know, they get some cool equipment, and I just dove in and just was obsessive.
Yeah.
And from that point till now, I mean, I love audio, and I feel like if you just stay curious and obsessive, you can just keep riding the trends.
I love that. That is so true. I think that's been true for a lot of creative guys that I see that are like that all around musician, creative, like they just are drawn to all those things. Like you just have that drive to figure things out. And so that goes a long ways to becoming a good technical artist. So, all right, man, and we're going to have fun on the live stream today. I'm excited to review some live streams. We've had a lot of submissions. We've got 4 on the dock today that I've already kind of chosen that we've looked at and that we're going to go into. But before we do that, I always like to play a little game with our audience and with you, our guest reviewer. So we're going to go ahead and play one of my favorite games called Guess the Tech. And we're going to see how you do, Tyler.
Great.
Are you a gearhead? Do you have gear acquisition syndrome? Are you a techie like that?
You know, my bank account appreciates it when I kind of pull off Reverb or eBay for a while. So, but I do love gear. Yes. Okay.
Well, I will tell you that to make it fair towards you, I tried to like comb through your posts to find things that like at least you would be familiar with and that I know you have some experience with. But I do feel like in the past I've made it a little too easy on the guests, so some of these might be a little bit harder. So, guys in the chat, if you can get it before Tyler does, like I've got this thing on streaming on low latency mode, so we're gonna see if we can get some chats in here before you get it. We'll give you about 5 seconds before Tyler throws out his guess in there. So let's start off easy. Let's see if you know what this is. All right, surely. I mean, I think based on all the Instagram posts, like,
dude, is that a Behringer wing, man? What is that? Oh my gosh.
All right, what do you think that is, Tyler?
I would say, and I'm going to guess pretty specifically, is that the C3500 of the D-Live?
I couldn't tell exactly which model you had, so I went with this one.
Ooh, that is a bigger one.
Okay,
yep.
So y'all, what is the one that you're mixing on?
So I'm on the C3500. I've been on the S7000 for a while too, but I honestly like the smaller footprint, if I'm being completely honest.
What's the big, like, is it just shrunk down a little bit? Input-wise, is it less, or?
The C series has a little bit smaller faders, and then you lose a fader bank, so you only have 2 instead of 3. But
okay.
Other than that, pretty much the same.
Cool. What do you like about the D-Lives? Like, what sets them apart?
Listen, they are, I tell everyone, it feels like Apple designed a console. Like, everything is just like, a volunteer could walk up and be like, wow, this really actually makes sense where this is at. This is intuitive, and I just need speed. I use my waves for most of the big processing. On the console, I need speed, and I need to know, it's like, it makes sense here, quick, go, go, go. And Alan Heath does that, so that's my choice of console, for sure.
Okay. All right, let's go to the second one here. Do you have any ideas? This one's a little tougher.
Is this a...
No one in the chat is going to get this. This is a very specific thing that I've heard you talk about.
Is this the DPA 2011C?
It is the DPA 2011C. Tell everybody what you like to use this for.
So there was a long season I was using this and Beta 57A on my snare top only. No bottom mic, and I'd blend these. And Chris Lord Algae actually talked a lot about using condensers on the top of his snares for tracking. So I just started doing it, and I'm like, wow, this sounds freaking amazing. And I did that for a long time. Now I'm on the Lawton Audio snare mic, so I love that. Love it to death. But
Are you doing a top and a bottom now with the Lawton? Just the top?
Just the top.
Really?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, all right. Maybe we can talk more about that later. All right, let's go to this next one. Not concerned maybe about the specific model, but let's see. Surely you can get this.
Ooh, I'm gonna guess that this might be the Waves Titan server for SoundGrid, but a SoundGrid server nonetheless.
I left the logo on there to try and, you know.
Yeah, that's a little,
If you didn't have the logo, it's like a piece of rack gear? I don't know.
Yeah, oh wow, is it a drawer?
Yeah, it's just I just
Live
grabbed
box.
Live box, I don't know. I mean, do you guys, how are you running your Waves system there?
So I have a server 1, no redundancy. I have not had a Waves crash in 8 years. So it's rock solid, and I don't overload the system. I have a friend that uses the live box. He loves it. I'm jealous that he gets to run some other plugins that I really like to run. But you know what? Waves makes some really good stuff, and so I'm happy. It's good enough for me.
Yeah, I've never run Waves live ever, so you know I'm jealous of these guys who can do that. So I don't know. There's some new ways that people are doing it with integrated, stuff, even in the Wing stuff that's come out. So it's more achievable at a lower cost. So
absolutely.
All right, next one. This is maybe not. Well, let's just see if you can do this. Oh, this is not audio related. This is a different part of your world.
A different part of my world, man. Dude, I couldn't even tell you. Like a Leslie cabinet?
No.
No.
This is not to scale, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
So think back to your day-to-day, videography kind of stuff.
Man, now you're gonna make me look bad. I really have no idea.
I mean, I think many moons ago, this is a certain type of brand that you really were proud of using a lot. They have great color science.
Okay, let's see. Is it
a lot of churches have used these because this is a more budget friendly.
Is this a Komodo?
It is the Red Komodo 6K.
The edges gave it away. I was like, okay, this is either the Raptor or the Komodo.
Yep.
Love it. Great camera.
Someone guessed Loom Cube, which
Cube, yes.
I mean, yeah, same shape, so very confusing. I get it. All right, let's go to this one, and I'm curious if you've used this any.
Is this the Mac Mini, the one that's super small? Yeah.
It is. Yeah,
that's sick.
We just picked up a new Mac Mini right before the close of the year, and I'm using it for tracking all our stuff, just live, just to have, and it's been solid. It's super quick. I don't know. Have you picked one up?
No, but it's crazy how small they make these things now. Like, I would honestly get rack them all together and have all my computers in like one little rack.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, they're just like a little bit bigger than an Apple TV, and I'm curious for you guys in the chat, like, have y'all picked them up? Are you running ProPresenter off of them? What are you doing with these Mac Minis now? Because they are really powerful. It's impressive for the cost too. Like, they're keeping them under $600. So
honestly, that's it's crazy.
Throw it on the back of a TV and do some stuff with it somehow. I don't know. People are dreaming of some different stuff. So, how about this one? I feel like we might have mentioned this one earlier.
This is definitely a Wing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You said you're on the Wing?
So we picked up the Wing Black when it came out. We're in the middle of a construction phase, so we are out of our worship center currently. And yeah, like literally this is the status of our worship center.
Oh my gosh. Man, that's gonna be so cool though when it's finished.
Yeah, it's a mess right now, but in 9 months it will be great. So but yeah, we're going to the Wing at front of house, and then Wing Compact and Broadcast just to have like as a studio board as well. Nice. Since they'll just kind of talk together for our budget.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like we were coming from M32, so that way all of our mixing stations and all that stuff, we didn't have to go change all that as well.
I've seen some really cool effects and rack units that they've come out for the Wing, and seen a lot of people start posting about them. I'm interested. I just want to I've never been in front of a Wing, so I haven't used it, but from what I see, there's some cool stuff in there.
Yeah. Flannel Knight says he loves the Wing. That's the kind of reviews that I hear all the time. Is like people either love it or they have disdain for it.
Disdain for it.
I don't know why.
I have a friend that is avidly against it. So.
Yeah. Well, and some of that, I talked to, well, I don't want to name, well, he was on the live stream. He said it, Jake, last time, and he loved the Wing, but now he is in an integrator, and Sweetwater's the only one who sells them now. And so I feel like there's that little bit of like thing where if you're an integrator, you kind of don't like Behringer as much now because they don't let you sell their stuff. And so
interesting.
Yeah, it's an odd thing where you're like, well, if you're not going to work with us, we're not going to work with you. So there's that extra layer. If you're a church, just know sometimes there's that too. All right, we got one more. Let's see if you can get this one.
Okay. This is probably, it's either a spider cam or a Defy cable cam, and looking at the back of the, well, what is rigged to it? Let's see. The other part of the shadow is throwing me off.
What is rigged to that?
You're gonna have to reveal it, man. I don't know.
You think it's a spider cam though?
I'm trying to look at the bucket at the top. Yeah, I think so, but I don't know what would be attached to it. Oh yeah, Shep's attached to it. I love that. Shout out to Shep. Oh my gosh, he's gonna love this.
Yes, it's Shep and his spider cam. Go Podium. Oh man, you did great. That's though. Amazing. I think you were a perfect score there. So
there you go.
Awesome job on Guess the Tech. Man, proud of you. Very, very
Love
good.
It.
Very good. Oh, goodness. Hey, it's always fun. I know technology is just a tool that we get to use for our job. Kind of like you were saying at the beginning, you started on much less expensive tools, and you just kind of learn as you go. So I think that as we review these live streams, these next 4, it's going to run the gamut of size of churches, the technology that they're using. But one thing that I thought was really interesting, last night I posted a question just saying, like, what's your biggest struggle with audio with your church? And the number one response was like, just like the training of my volunteers, like operational aptitude, like people knowing how to do stuff. And so that's the great thing is like no matter what technology you have or tool you have, you can always get better and you can learn. So I think I'll just ask Tyler to share his wisdom with us today, and we'll just try to make each other better as we go. So I think it's time for us to jump into the Friday live streams. And so the first live stream that we're going to talk about comes from Family Worship Center, Jason Farrell. So let me get that one pulled up. And let me tell you about their setup. They are running 4 G85s. G85s, man, I love a good G85. They're good. Panasonic's my favorite budget camera. Like, what kind of cameras are you using when it comes to like budget-ish cameras? Do you have any favorites that you like to go to?
Man, I think some of the best streams that I've seen, even smoking some of the churches with a lot of nicer gear, there'll be kids running around with Pocket 6Ks and some cheap Holylands, and they know the movements and they look incredible. And you can get a Pocket 6K for next to nothing now. And so I would say that's probably the winner in my book. I like a good cinematic style broadcast, and I think that with the younger crowd, they can just run and gun it and get it. But yeah, honestly, that's probably your best visual bang for the buck. You just lose all the other nice features of convenience.
Yeah, for sure. I love the Pocket 4K, 6Ks and stuff too. It's just like they don't have the stabe, and so I like the stabe of the G85 and the GH5 and stuff like that. So anyways,
sometimes need it.
We can get into that too. But yeah, they're using G85s. They've got a couple of Marshall CV504s, those little POV cams thrown in there, wireless handheld cam. And then for audio, let's see, they're doing a matrix mix from the board. So they're using the house mix, and they're sending Dante to a computer running vMix. So then they're using like the tools within vMix to do like compression and limiting, and throwing some crowd mics in there as well. So let's just watch and listen to Family Worship Center for a minute here, and then we'll give them some thoughts.
And just worship wherever you are. Merry Christmas.
All right, I always feel bad just like cutting these people off after 30
Right.
seconds of, showing their
done.
live stream. Just to be fair, me and Tyler have kind of looked at these beforehand. And so I've listened to these for probably, 5-6 minutes to kind of be able to prepare for this live stream. So anything jump out at you before we jump into this like more, but just on that first go through?
Honestly, I kind of vibe with the background. The woodwork is pretty unique, and like it's like not just this generic black box. Like they have some character to their church. I like it.
Yes, I totally agree with that. As soon as I pulled up the live stream, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I like this. This is cool. Yeah.
It's like owning into their space rather than trying to just make it this like generic like church like black box. Here's some lights. It's like they really took and like, no, we're gonna accentuate what's cool about our church.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the things that jumped out at me were the uniqueness of we have electronic drums with real cymbals with shy baffles. Yeah. So, any thoughts on that?
I honestly think this is probably the best case scenario that they're going to get for a CCM sound in that room. And the thing is, natural drums, you got a natural toms and snare coming through. It's just not the sound of what people are producing now. And I get this comment all the time, like, oh, it doesn't even sound like a drum kit anymore. I'm like, does anything really sound like an acoustic instrument anymore and produce music? And it's just like, no, it's just not. It's not the genre sound. So they wouldn't be able to get that in this room if they had gone an acoustic drum kit. So the live cymbals are interesting because normally in this is another issue with those rooms is they're too loud. But I always found heartbeats really warm for cymbal choices. And anytime I'm like, hey, if you have a cymbal issue, like try the heartbeats, put some baffles up, see what you got, and we kind of go from there. I hate electric drum cymbals so much.
Oh man, I know. You just can't get the swells and the articulation. Like we had to move to E-drums in our little small 150 seat, 175 seat venue, and that's what the drummers are all like, I hate the cymbals, Yep. And we can get away with everything else, but yeah, the heartbeat cymbals are great. We love those as well. The custom classic dries are great. One thing I was hearing, and I don't know if you could have any ideas on this, is like when you have audience mics, time aligning, feel like I was hearing some phasing of like snare coming through maybe like late or something with the crowd mics doubling a little bit there. Did you any thoughts on time aligning audience mics?
Yeah, I'll do this definitely when I'm doing like post mix down a lot of times or in the room. This is just a room size kind of thing. If you have a really short slap in a room, you'll hear it. It'll be super apparent on the stream. The larger the rooms, they're a little more forgiving because they kind of wash out and delayed. And so it's one of those, it depends, is it a distraction or is it unnoticeable? Like, don't spend all your time if it's not something you notice, But if it's a distraction, and I heard it a little bit too, it's like you might want to delay your primary to kind of match your house, whatever slap you're hearing on your house mics.
Yeah.
Because those are important, right? I mean, it's a broadcast. It's like we want to feel like we're there. I don't want a dry mix. I want to feel part of it, but, sometimes delaying the main mix.
Right. I notice here in their setup, their lighting stuff is just a little light tree that's in the looks like the media booth and real low.
Yeah.
If it looks like your guys are maybe just limited to that, obviously if you can get those up higher, one of the struggles they mentioned, I think, was that their pastor preaches from down here, and lighting can be a struggle sometimes. I thought that the lighting looked okay on him. I mean, this shot right here I think looks pretty good. It's a little stark on him, but there's not crazy shadows or anything, but just getting those lights up at a 45, 35 would be better. It's just, I like what Tyler was saying though, like about embracing the space of your church a little bit. I think you guys are. You have to kind of work within your bounds as much as you can. I saw some other stuff here at the end where you guys went to the candlelight stuff. You said this was the first service that you had the handheld rig, and I thought you guys did some really nice stuff. Just capturing the candlelight things. Let's go back and listen just for a little bit more and see if we can hear any other things to give tips on. So if they're running like their limiter and compression stuff
Yeah.
at the end of the chain, how are you doing that? Do you have any tips for us as we do that for our broadcast mix?
So that was the first thing I heard when I reviewed this, is that their limiter's pumping a little bit, and I can hear it breathing. So I would say studio and live, generally your kick drum and how much energy is in it is going to normally set the pace for your limiter. And if you're overly pushing low end in it, it's going to pump your whole mix. I would say that's probably the first thing that I'll hear, and you'll hear it every kick hit. It's like it breathes. So
Yeah.
that's why it's really important to have a room that's really matched well, and tuned well, so your broadcast translates. I run my broadcast in front of house. Like everything you guys hear online is literally just my broadcast feed from the front of house board. But that's normally what I'm thinking. As soon as I'm looking at that master, I'm hearing it. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking downstream or upstream into the mix, like what's causing that issue. And 9 out of 10 times it's the kick drum driving a lot of energy into that and pumping it. So
Do you have a favorite Waves plugin chain that you're using on like that final step?
Yeah, I actually just posted about this. So this gets a little more advanced, but I do a pull tech, push and pull. It's a pretty popular technique, and it tightens the low end. So 60 hertz, it's boosting and attenuating at the exact same time. Because each filter has a different curve, it tightens it. A lot of people have talked about this. I've done this technique for a long time, and that goes, I believe, into a G-bus compressor that's just knocking off like 2 to 3 dB. And once again, really looking at that kick drum. Hey, is this in check with the rest of the mix? Then a little bit of Vitamin. I don't know if anyone's ever used Vitamin. I love that thing. It adds like a sonic, it's like a saturation to it, and I use it for the top end, and it has width controls. So I'll spread out some of my top end, and I'll start tightening up the bottom end to be more mono. So I use that, and then very last thing, I've used L2 for like freaking forever. So I do that, and I mean, I am like barely doing anything on that thing, and that is like my final like, all right, we're YouTube ready, let's go. You got everyone can hear it, everyone's happy, and that's normally my broadcast chain.
Okay.
It doesn't do. It's not really this magic chain. It just gets you to where you need to be. And if there's an issue, go up in your mix and fix it. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's not a. That just is what it is. I try not to touch it honestly that often. I just click in. I'm like, oh wow, if this is like really gain reducing, I'm like, there's an issue in my mix somewhere. I need to go fix that.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think it's so easy, at least for me, to just like feel that magic bullet of like throw the precision limiter on there and look, it's up to broadcast levels now, and then you end up squashing a lot of the dynamics and things that you're trying to create as you build your mix. So those are good thoughts. Well, thank you to Family Worship Center and Jason for submitting. You guys keep up the good work, and let's move on to our next live stream review. This one comes from River City Church, and Charles Garwood submitted. They have a Blackmagic ATEM and 2 super cheap and terrible quality fixed cameras on keys and drums.
Well, I love
is
that
the way
so
he put that. Then they have some Sony PMW-EX3s. I don't even know what those are. They must be like camcorders or something. And then another PMW-EX3 handheld. And then they brought in a special kind of wireless gimbal setup for this service specifically, I believe. So let's watch theirs and see if we can give some thoughts here. Here we go. Love that last
Nice.
shot, just that little slow walk up. That's cool.
I love
Awesome. Any thoughts come up to you on that first listen through?
Yeah, actually, this is one of my favorite songs too. So
Yeah.
I love mixing this. I mean, it just has when it works, it just hits. It just hits in the room. And so I'm gonna be a little more critical on this one because this church has the ingredients to make it great. And so right away, I would say on the drums, I like a big haul. The haul's too long on this. You got like a 4.2 second haul verb on those drums, and even in a large arena, this would probably be too large. So I would say dial that back a little bit. Probably start like maybe like 2.8 second time. And it kind of brings it back more into like a realistic like range while still keeping a big CCM like drum sound. Other than that, like the drums don't sound bad in themselves. And I use a ton of verb on drums. So I think just dialing that back will really get you there. I think the other thing I heard too was a little bit of the balance thing. Balance is huge. I mean, beyond any processing, I swear I'm spending 95% of my time in the mix building balance. And so I think I would like to hear more rhythm guitar, pull back that electric just a little bit, and your keys are really hot. So be pulling that back down, and that will create this more tucked sound for your vocals to sit on that. And I don't know. You just don't really hear a lot of keys parts on the actual records popping out a lot. And I noticed this in a lot of churches where they'll lean really heavily on a keys player. And I'm like, that's great, especially if that's your MD and you know you can trust that person. But sonically, that's not really what's happening on the records a lot of time. Honestly, you're pretty hard pressed in the big parts to even hear a keys player.
Yeah.
So that would be my thing. And then I guess the other thing is you can probably compress your vocals harder and fill those out with a little bit more like verbs. I like a good like filter delay too, where it's not really like a delay, it's more of like a smearing effect, and you just kind of filter that down to like 1.5K, and then I think like low pass or high pass it to like 400 or 500 hertz. But you guys have the ingredients, like it's there, like the it's there. That would be my advice, to take it from here to here.
Yeah. Well, they did say they're running multiple buses that are kind of summing together into their broadcast mix. And I think I've heard you talk about doing separate vocal buses and instrument buses, and like creating space with like maybe multi-band sidechaining compressors or something like that. Like, how are you have any techniques that help create that clarity space?
Yeah, if we want to go in that advanced route, I would say one of the biggest things, once you get a dense mix and you're working in that and you're mixing into compression and that's the sound, one of the issues you're going to run into is keeping vocals big and intelligible without sounding like it just printed on top of your mix. And so what I do for that is F6, incredible plugin, and I'll sidechain my vocal group into that plugin on the instrument group. And so on the mid, I'll do mid side, and right on that mid in that like 2 to 4K range, every time someone sings on the mid channel on the whole instrument group, there's no drums and that's all just the rest of the instruments, it'll duck down while they're singing, and so they're just right in the mix with each other. I don't have to put it on top, and people are happy, they hear it, but it still sounds like a big wall of energy. And that's kind of how I tackle that. You always create new issues when you're doing different things in a mix. You want a big mix, well now you got to get clarity and everything, because everything's just going to be a wall of noise. If you have a super dynamic mix, it's like, okay, you got to really ride your faders and balance the heck out of that, because things will get out of control so quickly. And so it's all push and pull.
Yeah. Well, as far as video side of things, the things that kind of jumped out to me are things that are still fixable no matter what gear you have. Just for me, at least on the viewing devices I've looked at it on, things appear like white balance may not be quite there. Like it looks a little, I don't know, orangey greeny a little bit on skin tones for people's faces on the front light. So maybe just going back and rechecking those. They all match, but which is good. But I would just say you could maybe check which that guy didn't match. These backline cameras maybe are what you're saying, those cheap cameras don't match, which is okay. Those are just your quick cutaways. And then your handheld camera that you brought in, I think you're doing a good job throwing that in there. I like that. If you can invest in that, that's a great addition, because that's bringing a lot more energy to your just static camcorder shots. Just making sure you're really communicating with that op, like when you're going to go to him and when you're going to go away. That's great. I love these kind of movements, and just really adds a lot of dynamics to it. So I think those are things you can work on as well. But honestly, you guys are killing it. I love the energy of the band, like the worshipful spirit that it's translating through the live stream. Like that's our goal, right? You know?
That's right. Yeah.
So.
Like I said, all the ingredients, I'd be very encouraged where you guys are at, and it's great because you know you have what you need to go to the next level. So I love it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for submitting. Awesome. Hey, dude, those are great thoughts. For the people that don't have maybe as much, like let's say they have an X32 and they don't have, all of these resources.
Yep.
How did you learn all of this stuff? Like maybe you're saying all these things. You're like, I sidechain the thing to the deal. And then these guys, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, yeah, that's great. We should do that.
This is why I'm going to talk about this really quick. And this is why I think in live sound, people get frustrated with waves. They say, simplify it down. I grew up in the studio. I have the real units here of the plugins, and I've had a lot of time in solo. I understand the nuances like a lot of studio engineers do of like, okay, for like say like a VCA compressor, like what is the characteristic difference of putting an SSLG bus or an API 2500 or like a DBX 160? Like what are those things doing differently? And same thing with like FET compression. And so I that's my world. I know exactly like, oh, I need to solve this problem. I know a Blue 1176 is going to do that, and I'm gonna put that on. But some people it's like, well, dude, I have all these options of plugins. Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna start throwing them on and see what happens. And that's where you run into trouble. Yeah. That's where I'm saying if that's your hat and that's your thinking, but you're like, dude, I'm a pro at this console compressor. Like I know exactly how to dial it in. Just use that. Seriously. I've been on DLive with nothing, no waves, not even the DPAC processing, and I'm just like, it's just the tools you have, and you can make an awesome mix. I just like speed. Honestly, I jump from churches, and instead of me trying to redo the whole show file, I bring my waves file, insert it in, and I'm like, we're good to go. So that's just my process. I wouldn't get too caught up, aside from like some specific things like having like waves tune or anything like that. It just I hate saying use your ears because it's so unhelpful when people comment that all the time. It's if you don't have the tools, what are your ears gonna do? But I would say, in that sense, if you're on an X32, you're on anything like that, balance is everything. I mean, if you don't have a good balance, it doesn't matter what shiny processing plugin, whatever you have, it's really not gonna matter. And I think one of my mentors is a huge advocate. Make sure you're high pass filtering stuff out, and you'd be surprised at how much you can fix first just high passing and doing some basic EQ cuts like on your vocals. Like that 3/4K is gonna kill people. You're gonna have that 390 to 450 like build up. Like tackling those things and just knowing their problematic areas, you'd be surprised how great of a mix you'll have right away, and just having some decent effects. Yeah. After that, it's like the benefits start shrinking, but that's that final 15% that you're gonna go from like, okay, this is cool, to like, holy cow, how they do it. Like I was just watching like the Passion stream, right, and it's all live, and it's just like, this could just be released. Like honestly, that team, the broadcast team that does that, Corey Edwards was mixing for a lot of the acts, and it just like, yeah, this could just be released as is. Like but that's that final 15-20%, right? And that's where all those techniques are going into play. But for the average church, I mean, it's overwhelming in the sense of like, oh, I don't have those tools. Just master the tools you have. I mean, an X32 has. I had a VLZ Pro with 4 channels of Behringer compression, dude. Like when I was back in like 2008, like I had no tools, and you just had to make it happen. That's funny. So you guys have everything now. Absolutely, and like just having the ability to record stems and then go back during the week in the worship center and practice. Like when's the last time you did that? As an audio person. So I think there's no pressure. It's like that's the problem with live environment where you don't have a lot of time to learn. I mean, I feel it, you probably feel it. It's like when you're on that Sunday morning, it's like service time is approaching quickly. There's not a whole lot of time to like play around and like, oh, let's figure this out and see and try this. It's like, yeah, we had to make this happen and not put pressure on a different team. Absolutely. Figuring something out. Last Sunday, it was 2 minutes before the service started, and I'm like, what is that buzz?
I feel like something sounds weird in the house. Like something sounds different. And I was like, I don't have time. Like I got to go do the live stream like pre-show and like it'll be fine, you know? And I have all volunteer audio guys and they just trust me that I have everything figured out, like set for them. And lo and behold, I go back in the next day and check. And somehow my recording stem computer had rerouted itself back into the X32 and that channel was unmuted. So all 32 channels were coming through two aux 1 and 2 live.
I love that.
And I was like,
dude, that's honestly my every time I'm in Logic and I'm like make sure virtual sound card is set up and everything and I see that output device, I'm like, God, please help me. Do not reroute into some random Dante like insert on the console and kill me every time. I swear.
Yeah. So that we're gonna fix that for sure. Anyways, well, let's move on to the next live stream review. This is Wildwood Church. JP submitted. They've got some great studio camera 4Ks capturing. I love this church's setup. I don't know. The lighting and everything looks great. You guys are going to see. For audio-wise, they're doing Allen & Heath SQ7 that runs tie lines from the front of house. So able to capture things that way. So let's hop over here and give them a watch and a listen. You guys hop in the chat and let me know if you see or hear anything. I'm seeing some really good comments in there about lighting, videos, some stuff that you're hearing.
Wandering into the night, wanting a place to hide this weary soul. Bones. And I tried with all my might, but I just can't win the fight. I'm slowly drifting, vagabond. Just when I ran out of road, I met a man I didn't know. He told me that I was not alone. He picked me up, he turned me around, placed my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because he healed my heart, he changed my name. Forever free, I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God.
All right, Tyler, before I let you talk, I think everybody wants us to address the same thing probably, and that is the floor tom.
Yes.
So can you please tell us, how do you like to mic and tune toms?
Let me tell you, the Tom EQ gets destroyed on my end every time, and I don't care. Like that, the toms at that proximity with almost any mic, it just has so much like low mid build up that I'm like absolutely killing it. And same thing too, that stick hit, that the 2, 3.5, 4K sound on the toms, like at least for me, I just don't want that. And I find a good mic selection that rejects cymbals well enough where I can get a good top shelf and really crank some of the like the higher articulation. But if I'm tuning completely aside on it, if I'm like, this is it, this is all I'm getting, I'm at the board, I would say there's just a lot of mid-range stuff in there that you're not gonna want. And I think even you had Brad on a little bit ago, and he'll tell you, he was like, I smiley face EQ the heck out of my drums, and his drums sound phenomenal. And so I would say, as much as we probably a lot of us won't admit it, like the drums get a ton of EQ work on them, and that would be one thing I would immediately just dump out probably 500 hertz and find that call sound and just 3K, 2K, and just gone.
Yeah. Well, I was looking here. I'm not sure that. Okay, he has a different microphone on the low tom, and it looks like maybe some clip-on gooseneck, maybe DPAs or something on those. Which this camera shot looks bomb, by the way. It looks beautiful. I love the shot. But yeah, anyways, we can listen to another section where he's playing full kit, because some other parts of the stuff sounds great. He's a great drummer.
Yeah.
And the things I was impressed about with this live stream is like camera shots look great. Lighting is on point. White balance. Everything looks really, really good. I actually want to fast forward a little bit if I can find my mouse over here. And let's Let's listen to maybe another section where they're playing a little bit with like a fuller kit sound. Come on, drums. There we go. Any thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I mean, overall, you got to look in context too. Like, you got a violin up there, you got acoustic. Like, this is not a big band sound, and so you could crush the drums and make them sound massive, but they'd be so mismatched to what's going on stage. And so, I like it. I think it's good. Same thing from the last one. Your drum decay is too long on the verbs, and it's like we got to shorten that up a little bit. And I think, you know, you listen to like Elevation recently, and a lot of them, those guys have dramatically shortened a lot of their reverb times over the last 5 years, and you notice it. Like, you go back to like 5-6 years ago with Bethel and Hillsong, and you got these long decays, and I feel like every year, ever since like Old Church Basement, Elevation just keeps going shorter, and getting more articulate. But yeah, it's just in context, right? You know, if you're in a big room, you can cheat some of that stuff. And this, it's just like, I hear it. I hear that snare verb going, and that could be a stream thing, and you don't really hear it in the house. That happens to me all the time. I'm like, man, why is that delay throw so freaking loud in the stream?
Yeah.
But no, it's good, and even going over, like, violins and cellos are freaking hard to mix live. I mean, like, I put waves tune on those when they're like any specials, because getting a singular violin or cello to sound right, like how you hear in your head, is very hard. So hats off to that. And
that's a great point. I've never heard of someone saying that you'll put waves tune on a string instrument.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to help them out a little bit with intonation or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. And it really does tighten it up a lot. And because, you know, you're used to hearing those instruments sum together with a bunch of takes. And so that makes sense, right? But when they're singular, it's like, oh, wow, I really hear some of that, like, minute, like, in the intonation details. And I'm like, yeah, maybe not so much. Maybe I'll, like, let's tuck it in with a little bit of tuning.
Yeah. Hey, 99.9% of churches probably across America have an acoustic guitarist up there, most of them with a piezo pickup.
Yep.
How are you handling those within your mix? Any tips for us?
Yeah, actually, one of my many hot topics that I started probably last year, I use and I have a lot of like large band mixes. I use the acoustic as a percussive instrument half the time. Like, that like top shelf, like clicky click click is what people are hearing in the big horses of an acoustic, and nothing else. I mean, I kid you not, like, you can barely make out. It's almost like a shaker, but so I would say, honestly, I don't do a whole lot of EQ work with it. I'm really managing, like, how bright is it in the mix, and, like, if it's a cheaper guitar, like, is it getting honky, or, like, is there any, like, just, like, kind of wood sound build up in, like, the lower mid-range, and just tackling that. But for the most part, it's just so tucked in there. I'll high pass it pretty high. I don't, unless it's acoustic, I really don't want all that low resonant stuff messing with my other frequencies in the mix. So I find it finds its spot, and it kind of just under a lot of the instruments. And I know a lot of people in their mix, like, once again, if you have a really confident worship leader and you're truly trying to carry the band, right? Sometimes you got to rely on that instrument, or a piano player that's the MD. It's like, you know, I don't have the best band, but I can trust my keys player.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are the factors, but if we're looking at like mix quality alone, man, yeah, I'm tucking my acoustic in pretty heavily, and you'll hear that on most of the major guys' streams. It's kind of just barely there.
Yeah. Well, I think this band is grooving really well for the pieces that they have going on this live stream. I mean, I like the scaled backness. The drummer and the bass player are really grooving together well. I think that your production team is capturing what is happening in the room. Like, it's translating to me, at least. you've only got that one cutaway wide shot that's just kind of like that static bird's eye view camera. I kind of wish you had something else that you could maybe go to bail to kind of show that. This one's okay because you can see some of the people there. I like your use of lighting in the space. Like you got all these white walls and you're washing everything, but yet the key light is still there. It's not washing all of your front singers too much to where they're still good on camera.
Yeah, I was gonna say that about the lighting. I think you guys did a really good job. Even like when you're back shooting like on the drum shot, you know, you have these like dark light, and you got bokeh. Like that's why it's working. There's so many like light layers of depth. Putting my DP hat on now.
Yeah.
And all the leading lines on your set with like the different color contrasts. I mean, that's what's it for the space. It's working really well.
Yeah, no, it really is. So hats off to you guys. Wildwood, good job, guys. I appreciate you submitting. So hopefully you can take some of that stuff that Tyler mentioned and just continue to make it better.
Yeah, great work.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do one more review. And I'm not going to lie to you, Tyler. Whenever this one came through, I was like, am I getting, like, rickrolled here? Like, if I click on this link, what is this going to be? But lo and behold, Lakewood Church has submitted their live stream for review. They need me, Tyler. It's not you. They need me to really give them my thoughts.
I know.
My expertise. So, you know, I think, no, I think that maybe you have a relationship with these guys.
With
possibly?
Tony, yeah, a couple of guys. We talk and we're in our little circle, which is I told him like, what do you want me to say to this? I mean, you guys are absolutely killing it.
All right, so let's pull them up here and give them a listen to Lakewood.
It's the song of the angels, the all of the ages. It's all of earth and heaven's symphony. Wonderful and beautiful and glorious and holy He is. Yes, He is. Who are you talking about? That's my King. We declare the glory. Give Him all the honor. He's altogether worthy. Who are you talking about? That's my King. There's no one before you. Yes, we will adore you. All of this is for you. Who are you talking about? That's my King. Woo! Is that your King this morning? That's my King. That's my God. That's my shepherd, my protector. That's my King. That's my rock. That's my anchor. My defender. That's my rock. Oh, yes, He is my protector. That's my anchor, my defender. Who you talking about? That's my King. Come on, we declare the glory.
All right, I'm about to start having church over here, so we better.
I know, right?
Ooh, oh man, I love it. I love it. I mean, things I'm curious about before you dive into the audio is like,
Yep.
are you guys at Lakewood doing cameras like in Cinema 4K or that 2:3:5 aspect ratio? Or are you just adding black boxes on top and bottom probably for graphics? I don't know if it's always got this text to give on there all the time through the live stream. That's personally like too much for me, but you know, you do what you guys want. It may have just been a special element during this service. I like the lyrics though on that. That's the same way we kind of do it too. But I was just curious how they shoot. They're only on ARRI Alexas for cameras. So, but I love all the.
They just switched over to them, right?
Did
I think recently. I mean that Alexa ARRI had to come out with something to
Wow.
compete with Red, who was taking over the broadcast space with cinema style broadcasts. So
Right.
naturally, you know.
Wow, pretty amazing.
You know, it looks really. Hats off to them for their cinematography style, because this is something you would see more so like on a national awards show or something of that caliber, with like you're not relying on cameras to build the energy, the like kind of handheld emotion. It's like what's happening where what it's lit is done extremely well.
Yep.
And so they're not trying to like say, look at my camera movement. It's like, hey, we're going to give you these big camera
Sweeping movements.
planned sweeps, and you're going to really focus on what you're seeing in front of you rather than having to like not fake energy, but fake energy with your as a different set of eyes with your camera. So hats
I
off to
love
the
that.
whole team. I love it.
that.
It looks really good.
Yeah, man, all the movement through the camera stuff really translates what's
Oh, yeah.
happening in the room, and obviously there's this huge space to work with, but like I've heard people in big spaces talk about, you know, that creates its own set of challenges a lot of times too, you know. So yeah, I love it. It really does work well. So audio wise, you hearing anything specifically?
So I would say, even just going back to like the points, like let's just talk balance for a second, and what I was talking about earlier, like with Tony, like this is, and his engineering, like this is another like masterclass of the CCM sound and where the balance needs to land, right? Like really pay attention to look at that BGV to lead vocal balance, like hear where they're sitting. Honestly, you know, a lot of us churches, we got the third harmony and the fifth harmonies blasting over the lead vocal. It's like they're tucked, and same thing with that acoustic guitar is tucked. Those the reverb decays they're not super long, but they're not super short either. They're doing what they need to do. And I mean, honestly, I do love it for this style and for what they do. Like a couple of those higher tuned toms hit in there and just like it's like so sick. I love that stuff. So yeah, he a very awesome mix. I'd say my one, I told him, like, I'll give one preferential critique on this, and that's all I'm allowed to do. Is if he's splitting his like bass, I split my bass channels out for like a clean channel and then a distortion channel. I would say if he's doing that and on his distortion channel, in my preference, when he's really slapping or pulling on it, I would put an F6 on there and duck out really when he's digging into it, that like 1 to 3K range, just so when it's good when it's good, and then when he pulls really hard, I heard it a couple of times. I'm like, an F6, a dynamic EQ would have fixed that, but that is super preferential. He's killing it. I probably shouldn't even be talking about his mix, to be honest, but and maybe I have something to learn there, and he could show me and why that's completely wrong and why I should do it differently. That's what I love about our community, honestly. That's what I love about audio. It's so preferential, but there's guys like this that are doing it amazingly, and you can't argue with the result. I mean, this is live.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is live.
Well, and you watch a stream like this, and I'm just trying to like take ideas from it, and you watch things like this, and you're like, okay, they probably have a dolly track or a dactyl thing or something like that. How can I make this work in my space? And yeah, if you have a guy that's roaming with a gimbal, you can do those parallaxing walking behind, you know, the people's shots, and we do that same kind of thing at our church. So you can take these things and get ideas and apply them in your space and make it work in your live stream. So
in any budget, absolutely.
Yep. All right, I want to just finish up our time with Tyler by just asking some little questions here. I usually call it overrated, underrated. I think that can kind of get convoluted because, like, you're like, I don't know, like it's properly rated. I don't know, but like, so just
rated.
You know, like, what is Tyler's thoughts? Deep thoughts with Tyler. You know, on some topics with, you know, church tech stuff. So, just off the top of your head, he doesn't know these are coming. How about this one? Hot topic on the gram: headset microphones. What is what is your take on the headset drama saga of 2025?
You know, I bit my tongue because I was about to make a comment on one of the churches we watched earlier. I was like, you know, and hats off to the pastor for using a handheld, because that probably is helping him out. He wants to be in front of that stage, great, give him that handheld. I can say this because Lee's so vocal about it, and we talk a lot. Lee's one of my strong mixing mentors, and he was the one that gave me the voice to not hide behind it. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. You could have the best tuned room, you could have everything going for you. A headset mic, how it is designed, is always going to be somewhat of a compromise in terms of audio fidelity. I said it, that's just it. Granted, we're here to solve problems. My pastor switched over to a headset probably 2 or 3 months ago because we have 4 services. I mean, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. we're doing services, and he's like, my hand is just getting tired for preaching for 45-minute services and holding a heavy ULX handheld. I said, that is totally fair. We're here to solve problems in that. it's not going to sound as good. I'm not going to be able to get it as loud, and that's just what it is. But I feel, this is why I feel like it caused so much of a commotion. And like I said, Shep, Brad, all of us, like, we all have our group chats, and we're and it's good conversation. We have different opinions on things, and it's awesome. I think that our audio community is a little weird, and said sometimes, and everyone doesn't take audio as preferential, and they take it like my way is the way, and if you're not doing it this way, it's because you suck and you're doing it wrong. And that's just so not true at all. So I think that stirred up a lot of things like, well, you guys must be doing something wrong. Oh, your system must be tuned wrong. And that, like, no, I mean, like, different things work for different venues and different solutions. I will stand by a handheld will always sound better on an audio perspective with good technique than a headset. I've had so many, oh my gosh, my last church I was at, we had DPAs, Countrymen, Sennheisers, everything. That freaking thing would fail all the time. The little thing right here would snap, and then, you're running out of a handheld, and, my pastor was like, he's like, why does this keep happening? I'm like, don't look at me, dude. It's literally an equipment failure. Sometimes people play with it, but I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that people, they swear by. They're all opinions all over the map, and I don't know. James, tell me, please. James is another vocal person on it, and he's like, just don't do much to it. Just flatten out. I'm like, my mind in this world, I cannot not have dialogue sound exactly how I need it to sound. And like getting it there, I'm like, I'm cutting, I'm chopping, and I don't know. Use a handheld. Use a handheld.
Absolutely. I mean, I like what you're saying. It's a compromise that if you're willing to make, we have to figure out what is the best tool for what sacrifices you're willing to deal with. It's like, I would love my acoustic guitar to be able to have a microphone sitting in front of it and not have to, have
whole
a pickup.
Different sound.
Right? Yeah. And it would sound so much better. But like in a live environment, like I just can't do that. So you make a sacrifice for that. And so, yeah, it's like, it's all part of the conversation. But it's in fun, but it is kind of funny how passionate people get about things. So that's fun.
Maybe people in the comments, you can for a team handheld or a team headset.
That's right. What are you guys doing at your church? If your pastor is using a handheld, tell him his voice does not come out of his belly button, okay? That he has to actually hold it up closer to his mouth, okay?
Listen, I have, honestly, the funny thing is I have the whole opposite problem in my church. They're so like lively. They will have that V7 capsule right here and just be going, and I asked the lead about this sometimes, even with singers. I'm like, do you ever feel like you're just have your hand on the 200 hertz knob and you're riding? He was like, absolutely, all the time. He was like, with Hillsong United or anything, he was like, that proximity effect is very real. And he was like, I have that band right there, and I'm riding that band depending on where that vocalist or speaker is at. And I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. Got it.
Interesting.
So, there's a little tip from the pro.
Interesting. All right. What are your thoughts on Dante? Overrated, underrated? Are you utilizing it all the time? I've never used Dante. We're moving into a new space. I'm assuming we're going to use it, but I've just never had to solve a problem with it. But people are like, it's amazing. You got to use Dante.
So the venue that I'm at right now, the entire infrastructure is built off Dante entirely, down to sending to the PA. So I feel like I'm a good person to talk to on this because I was so against Dante 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I hated it. I did not want to learn IT networking to be an audio guy. I just want to know this analog snake to this is always going to work, and if it's not working, it's because the cable's literally broken and not some weird IP conflict and everything. So
are you doing like Dante through QSys or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
We
That's
have,
what we'll do too.
Yeah. So we have QSys set up. We have Clang set up.
Nice.
There. An Avanis, a D-Live, everything, Logic, everything is in, and then every room in the entire facility has Dante ports in it. So at any time we can just be like, our church goes into overflow regularly, and so we're like, this random breakout room, I have to plug in Dante into the wall, patch in whatever feed we need to, put speakers up, patch it in, or we can send an input back out to the whole network. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Same thing with if we're doing like an event outside, like baptisms or something like that. We can literally just pop a Dante port, and I can send or receive anything out there. And I mean, in that aspect, I mean, it beats running a snake.
Yeah.
But
okay. Are you doing like virtual sound card for like running tracks through Dante and stuff from stage? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
No issues.
No issues. I think you have to really start understanding things like unicast and multicast flows and understanding bandwidth. And so once again, I mean, they offer a course, and I would take it. I mean, you have to put your IT hat on. I mean, I hated that part. I'm like, I'm a creative mixer. I'm not a systems engineer. I'm not this. I'm like, I have friends. I have a friend that works now at NBC Sports, and he's like 22 years old. He just runs circles around me and that stuff. And I just call him. I'm just like, listen, I know what I'm good at. Can you help me? Why am I having clocking conflicts here? Like, what? He's like, oh, just do this. I'm like, you're a genius.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that's where that in smaller churches, and it just take the time and learn it honestly, and do the training. It is a learning curve for sure, but the flexibility is just insane. I mean,
Yeah. Okay, that's encouraging. What
Yeah.
about, speaking of clang, I mean, how about immersive audio in the live sound environment for churches? What are your thoughts? Underrated, overrated?
in terms of PA or in terms of like,
I would
yeah.
say,
Okay.
well, you can hit on both, but I would say PA first.
Underrated for worship, probably overrated for most of the industry. My last church I was at, we had immersive backfiring surrounds. I could literally wrap sound around people, and it was a huge room. It was a 3,000 seat room. The way that with CCM music, I could hug people with reverb backsends was crazy. I mean, like, and I miss it a lot, honestly. It just specifically for that post rock ambient sound. It just was the craziest experience. And so I was able to clean up a little bit of the send level that I was hitting the main arrays, and be able to focus more of that energy backfiring. And so it was cool. I love it. So severely underrated in worship. I see a lot of integrators now incorporating it. Some of the big manufacturers have it. Yeah, if you have the budget and opportunity, explore it. I mean, for the style of music we're doing, it is definitely additive to the experience for the congregation.
Yeah, and then are people loving clang? I just keep hearing more and more people moving towards it. What do you think? Tell the truth. Come on now.
Okay, I think for volunteer people and not having a monitor engineer, you create so many more issues with immersive sound than you solve. I can't tell you how many times I'm working with a vocalist. They're like, everything just sounds distant and wrong, and I go look at their 360 like head view. I'm like, yeah, because everything's distant and maxed out behind you, 100%. I mean, or in front of you. I was like, see this center line on here? Like, that's here. Now it's using technologies to phase shift it out in front of you or behind you, and you're like, it's distant. Correct. That's what it's supposed to be doing. And like, I love you. I'm putting it on stereo mode. And then they're like, oh, it solved everything. I'm like, yes, I wish I could just block out this mode for all y'all.
I mean, listen, a lot of vocalists are used to just wearing one ear, so if you just have, I mean, they just need mono.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. It's truly like some of these volunteers, and then they'll do that, and they're like, I'm having a problem, I can't hear, and I'm like, because you have your right ear out and you have that instrument panned all the way over to the right. So I like had to help them understand. I don't normally offer them mono because I'm like, I love you and I love your hearing ability. Please wear both ears. Yes, and here's some room mics to give you that like push.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah, I think
maybe a worship pastor or a drummer or something like that knows what they're doing could benefit from it.
I truly believe if you have a monitor engineer and you have someone that's able to manage that that setup and problem solve for people that might be accidentally doing things, it's a great tool. I have a friend, Aiden, over at a church across town. They run it on their SD12 desks, and their team loves it.
Okay.
But they do it, they're doing it very differently than we are. So definitely overrated in my book, but I see the application.
Gotcha. That's good thoughts. What about virtual remote live stream mixing?
So I've asked actually a couple of the big companies, like, let's do a podcast and debate it. I see it definitely gives people the ability to have a certain caliber of engineer that their area might not support. I have a friend that's down in Melbourne Beach, and they do it very successfully with a company. And he said the whole thing, he was like, I cannot get a competent engineer to move down here and work here. And I was like, you know what? That's a very real issue for a lot of churches in small towns, and this might be a great solution. However, this is where it blurs for me, because a lot of these companies start offering front of house remote mixing, is that you're conversing, building relationship, and interfacing and problem solving with the band as much as you are creatively mixing. And so when you're removing that whole element and you're so distant and remote, like, I don't know. I would have to see more of it, but I think that there's a lot of problems that starts to create. And honestly, I mean, I'm not going to name the company, but there's one that's having audio buffer issues, and the stream just starts crashing and crackling, and that's the real issue with internet bandwidth. I mean,
Yeah.
we're on a live stream right now. That could happen at any time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a loss for culture. I think these companies are undercutting us engineers, for our profession and ability. So these are things I would love to debate with any company out there, because I truly I want to see the benefit of it, and prove me wrong. Have me come out, blow my mind, and be like, whoa, and I'll advocate for it all day long.
Yeah.
But right now I see more cons than pros with it.
Good thoughts, man. Let us know in the chat if any of you are using remote live stream mixing and your thoughts on it, if you've been enjoying it or not. Last one, I've got still more on the list, but I think you talked about immersive audio, but how about just stereo PA for churches? Let's talk about the church of mine, 500 people, average church. Well, it's actually above average in America. Let's talk 200 to 500 people in a church. How important is stereo for when we're building out our mains?
I think it's extremely important. I get this comment sometimes, and I think I get it from probably the previous generation. It's well, you need to deliver the same listening experience to every seat in the room. And I think inherently I understand where they're coming from, but in a live room with reflective surfaces, the stereo image is constantly smearing. You're never really going to get a true oh my gosh, this tom's panned all the way to the left. It's only this seat can hear that tom. It's no, it's bouncing and people can hear it. I think the advantages of decluttering a mix and leaving the center, the mid open for sources, and be able to get these big heavy elements like pads and synths and guitars out in stereo to the sides to leave room for kick bass vocal. I think that's imperative. I think you'll really suffer in your live stream mix too if you're running off of front of house if you build a mono rig. I just don't unless there's some crazy super wide room limitation, and even then you can deploy an LCR rig. I think mono is very overrated for rooms, and I think you're hurting yourself by doing it that way. And that's just my opinion. I know several people that disagree with that, and they make the room sound great, and that's great. I would struggle in that room. I would be trying to build a big mix and running into a lot of clutter.
Yeah. Hey, recently I saw that you talked about moving from Logic to Pro Tools, and I was just curious why you did that. Is there a reason that you're moving on, and are you still? I think you offer maybe some templates still for broadcast mixing and things like that. So, are you still going to be doing things in Logic? What are your thoughts on the DAW world?
Yeah, I'll constantly be updating. It was one of my New Year's resolutions. In the studio world, I get sent Pro Tools sessions often, and I had to go and convert them over into Logic and move the playlists over to Comp. It was a lot, and I'm working in commercial and film mixing during the week too, and so Pro Tools compatibility with moving stuff out of Resolve or Avid into Pro Tools was just more comprehensive and more accurate that I found. The other thing too is behind me, I recently picked up a D control that was pretty much new, completely rebuilt, and it only works with Pro Tools. So I was I'm going to challenge myself. I've been in Logic since 2008, and let me learn something new. And I'll tell you, it is a decent learning curve, how different Apple and Avid build their DAWs. But honestly, if you can pick up one of these and you're doing a Pro Tools broadcast mix, I mean, it's literally a no-brainer. This thing has so much surface space and so many controls just right there. I'm going to start preaching that. Find a D control and put that in your church, because it is the cheapest budget option that you're going to get for a phenomenal processing through Pro Tools. But yeah,
But Logic just came out with plugin search though, right? So they solved all your problems now. So
listen, I love Logic. I've been in it for so long. I mean, I think they make a lot of processes easy. I think Logic does comp takes better than Pro Tools does playlists for sure. But I'm finishing up my template right now for broadcast in Pro Tools, so I'll probably be releasing that soon after I give a good month behind it and make sure it's like it's all working and nothing's crazy in it. But
where can we
ahead.
find those templates at?
I just print them honestly in my bio on Instagram. I don't try to push them too hard because I'm not doing it to be salesy or anything. It's truly, I have so many people DMing me and they're just like, can you send me your wave session? Can you send me your D-Live? And I was like, okay, this might be of value to some people, with a hard preface that like, you're going to make changes. I mean, every room is different. Every source is different, but this at least is my like worship CCM. All your reverb decay times are set to kind of the genre, and just different types of processing is kind of where it should be. But
Sure.
and then I think the recent one I'm probably going to be releasing sooner than later is my actual weekend D-Live plus waves full show file. So I've had a couple of people ask for that, and I'm like, okay, I think it's time. Let me clean up some of my random clang sends and stuff like that and give a good template for you guys. But
Nice.
yeah, it's been cool. And honestly, if any of you guys are watching and have purchased, like, I really appreciate you guys supporting and even purchasing them. I didn't think anyone, honestly. I was like, I'm just going to start putting these out here. But it was the quickest way to give back and give you guys just some insights. I'm not saying I do it the right way. It's just I do it a way, and this is the way I do it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know.
Well, if you guys aren't following Tyler on Instagram, you need to go give him a follow, because he's always putting out these kinds of fun reels, where he's showing us behind the scenes and posting lots of little quick tips and stuff. So go give him a follow on Instagram. Well, Tyler, I'm just super appreciative of you coming on, man. It's been a lot of fun. I'm excited to see where the Instagram stuff takes you. And I hope that you will share a little bit more of your day-to-day stuff. I know it's a niche thing. The algorithm likes us to stay in our niche. But you're a well-rounded technical artist, and I'm just honored to have you on the live stream, man.
Well, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for reaching out, too. I mean, I truly, truly, truly appreciate the energy and time that you put into this and what you do for the community, because I know what you're doing is extra work and it's hard, but people need this, and they need the next generation of people to be pushing and motivating and influencing. And I think the last thing that I will leave everyone with is that, though we are doing these on a scale on Instagram or YouTube, the amount of influence you have with your team individually trumps all of this. I mean, just honestly, what you say and how you raise volunteers up and inspiring them rather than creating a negative culture, that is the next generation. We can only have so much time with you guys every week, but you guys are doing it 52 weeks a year with your whole team. So I would give that encouragement to everyone. It's the amount of influence you have, you don't realize at the personal level.
That's awesome, man. I love that. Great thoughts. Raising up another generation. And yeah, I think you're serving the church by just even posting those little reels and coming on stuff like this. So thank you, dude. All right, you guys say thanks in the chat to Tyler, and maybe we'll have you on again later on in the year. We'll see. So
let's do it. All right,
guys, stay tuned for the next hour. We're going to be reviewing even more of your live streams, because there's a bunch that are in the Google form that you've submitted. So we'll be going through those. We'll be talking about some more church tech stuff that I've seen coming down the pike in 2025 that I'm excited about. So stay tuned. And Tyler, we'll talk soon.
Talk soon. See you guys.
Right. See ya. It's going to be a fun next hour. Guys, that was awesome. Say thank you to Tyler. Seriously, so much wisdom in there. Man, I didn't understand a lot of those things he was talking about, but I nodded my head. No. Seriously, it was great. So I am just going to grab a drink of water. Don't leave. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. So yeah, I'll be right back after this quick break. Well, welcome back to hour number 2. I don't know. We actually went more than an hour with Tyler, so thank you for sticking on longer than I asked you to, Tyler. But we're going to keep going here because you know what? We're snowed in here in Oklahoma anyways. It's been quite the weekend already with that 4 inches of snow we got, which is not that much. But in Oklahoma, if you get 4 inches of snow, you know, you're pretty much snowed in. So, yeah, like I shared earlier, this was my drive in if you missed it. So the roads were not bad, but through it in 4x4, we made our way up here and made it for the live stream with you guys and with Tyler. And yeah, it's been a great day. And 2025 has been awesome so far. I'm excited. If you guys didn't check out the live stream, not live stream, the tech tour with Preston Wood, bro, it was amazing. So posted that earlier this week, and that was a lot of fun. We've got time to do a bunch of live stream reviews. I've got some notes here of just different things that I've noticed. I would love to hop into the chat with you guys and be able to really engage and just do some Q&A. Canadians are like, are you kidding me? Well, we don't have the infrastructure to deal with 4 inches of snow. We got like 3 snow plows, you know, that are going around the city. So I know. Rick says 7 inches in BA. Well, I don't know how we only got 4. Maybe we got more than 4. It looks like more than 4. Anyways, sorry that was distracting. But yeah, that's life right now. That made me lose my train of thought. Anyways, I want to engage with you guys in the chat. So hop into there. Let me know what you're excited about in 2025. Any struggles you're thinking through, like any big things that you want to accomplish in 2025 that you just like. You're like, hey, Rylan, what are your thoughts on this thing? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things to think through as we start this new year. I was talking about that hilarious mishap on the X32 this last week and like everything rerouting back into channels 1 and 2 on the auxes. And I was like, what is happening? And you know, stuff just happens and that's okay. We just every week make it a little bit better. And it makes me think of this Instagram reel that one of my vocalists sent me. Let's watch this because maybe if you're like me, you can commiserate alongside of me. This was so good, y'all. Let me open it up first because I don't need y'all seeing all that. Here we go. It's so good, y'all. Maybe you've already seen this. This is from Sunday Worship Fails. Okay. Can you see that? This one right here.
Glory to God. Whoop, that's how glory to God.
I've so had this moment in my head.
Is that right? There it is. Janessa has it for us. Glory to. What are we doing here?
What are we doing?
You know what we're going to do real quick here? Just turn to the person and welcome them really quickly like we've just started together today. Just kidding. Just kidding.
What was the caption? Is like,
You're in the wrong key. Play a D.
when the worst possible situation
And there's
hits
also
you,
going to
you
be a new
forget
chorus,
everything.
which sounds something like this.
We're going to introduce a new chorus.
Glory.
Oh my gosh. Have you guys ever had a moment like that where you're going to introduce a new song and you're like, I can't remember the melody. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I've had that happen where I had to go up to somebody. It's been a long time. Be like, hey, sing that to me before we start service, or like play the song real quick. Like sometimes the melodies are so close together. Or like back in the day when we would do a traditional service, I would be doing hymns, and a lot of those hymns kind of have the same melody. And if I didn't have the music in front of me, I'd be like, how does that melody go? Take it, church. You know? I don't know. That one made me laugh out loud, though. Oh, gosh. Yeah, this last week, though, let's see. Spent a lot of time installing a new light bar in our venue, trying to add some new key light in there. I actually vlogged a full week. A week as a worship pastor, so that'll be coming out soon. I don't know. If you guys are curious about that, you can watch that. That might be weird. A weird little vlog. You can watch it if you want to. Something interesting I saw. Did you guys see this was announced yesterday? Let me get it pulled up. Some news, a hardware solution from Renewed Vision. Did you see that they're offering something for your church to be able to do lyrics that you can purchase from them?
For decades, Renewed Vision has created products
Thank you, Brad.
that enable you to
I don't need to hear your spiel, but he does give a lot of information here. Basically, he's saying, like, for a long time we've had these screens on each side, but then, people are looking off to the sides. So they are going to offer a solution, an all-in-one product, basically called a lyric strip. It's 6 LED tiles that are in a case that you can hang. It's a 3.9 pixel pitch. You can wall mount it. At first, they made it sound like there is not, like, the processing is all built into it, which I thought was really cool. Unfortunately, no, there is an external Novastar processor, which is fine. It's just, and then you run, I guess, EtherCon or Cat5, or that didn't look like a standard Cat5 cable to me, so it looked more like EtherCon. But there you can see it in action. It's about 10 feet wide. And, it looks like a kind of interesting product. They're going to have preset, I guess, maybe themes or display output presets built for this. It's like 768 by 128 resolution. So it's not, I wouldn't call that like super low res, honestly, but it's not high resolution. 3.9, it's fine for lyrics. Totally. So that's something to look at. Let's look at, can I see, do they link their website to it? For pricing, I feel like it was about $10,000. Oh no, it's not. Okay. Pre-order now, $6,500. It's 9 foot 11 inches, so 10 feet by 1 foot 8 inches. So 6,500. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Can run off just normal 120 volt power, which is normal. Like, okay. 1000 nit, 16-bit color, 3840, which is fine for refresh rate. 170 pounds total weight, not too bad. I think it could be interesting with the pre-built case thing. I mean, yeah, it looks nice. I mean, I would like to compare pricing versus just like some other 3.9 panels, 6,500 versus, I don't know, man. I need to kind of put it head to head with some other things. They're partnering with an LED production wall company there that's local to them here in the States, near their headquarters. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting. I don't know if you guys had seen that. Just checking the chat here. Cost benefit analysis. Doesn't think it's worth it. Aubrey, hey, looking for a church in the Tulsa area to help out with production at. I'm 17, have a lot of experience, just looking for somewhere that I could help out at. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we're in the Tulsa area. There are like hundreds of great churches around here. And I think any of them would be grateful to have a 17-year-old with experience wanting to help in their technical department. So I would say before just wanting to jump into a church and serve, it's okay to be drawn to a church because they do things with excellence or because of that opportunity it might be there. But I would say make sure that your theology and your core values line up with that church, and that you would want to be a member of that church, or that you would want to join that church and be a part of its overall vision and like its family for you. And then like even for us at our church, when people join and they express that they want to maybe become a part of the team, I kind of have a pretty much preset kind of rule that, hey, I want you to be involved in the life of the church for about 6 months, get in a small group, get in a community, connect with others. Because the way our serve teams are set up, like that's not what it's for. We do have a community, we do have friendship, we do have a little bit of discipleship that's happening there, but that's not really the mode of our discipleship that's happening, of our discipleship cycle here at Central. So that's important. So those are kind of some of my first thoughts, but if you ever just want to come up and see our setup here, you feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, send me a DM. Yeah, we can jump into some more of these questions, but I do want to hit some more live streams because that's why you guys are probably here. You may have submitted. And here's the deal. If you did not submit your live stream yet, there is still time. You still have the opportunity to submit your live stream. Here's the dealio though. Just keep it real with you. There's 12. There's only 12 that are still there in the forums list. So we're definitely not going to get to all those. But if you submitted and you want to move to the front of the line, you can super chat. Super chatting moves you to the front of the line. It's like going to Six Flags or Disney World and getting that fast pass. And it's only $10. It gets you to the front of the line. It's, a way of doing that. It's a cheap way other than booking a Zoom one-on-one call with me to get me to look at your live stream and give you some thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and get into these and see if I can find where I left off and delete the ones that we've already done. And while we're doing that, I do just want to say that, we're talking about how to invest in our live streams. And I think honestly, one of the reasons, one of the tangible ways that you can do that is by investing a small amount of money in something that I offer. And that is my course. I'm trying to share a little bit of wisdom here, but I do offer a course for you to purchase. It's only $125 for you guys on the live stream. If you type in the code 10OFF, the number 10, and then off, you can have $10 off today only through Saturday. And it's filled with 18 different modules that talk about my way of achieving a great live stream on a budget. Like my budget is not what a lot of these other churches are. And it's been a labor of love to make our live stream the best that it can be. And so, I've shared, kind of packed all of the stuff that I have into this course that came out last year. And so if you are interested in that, you can pick that up. And that's all I got to say about that. All right, I'm just trying to get these going here. I believe Lighthouse Fellowship, I don't think we did y'all's yet. So let me get that one pulled up. If you're in the chat, let me know. Because we're going to look at yours. No, we did not look at this one yet. Cool. Lighthouse Fellowship. Let's watch and listen and give them some thoughts,
Those
guys.
online.
Samen.
Fast forwarding to the music.
Thank you.
Continues.
It's an interesting backdrop. First off, cameras look really clean, really sharp. Color looks good. Like, I'm kind of surprised because all of the backdrop and everything looks kind of like that RGBW lighting, but faces actually look good skin tones to me.
To be
Let's listen.
praised, entering his courts with praise.
Vocals could use some reverb a little bit to kind of blend those together.
He is greatly to be praised. What shall we do? We shall lift up a shout. What shall we do? We shall praise him. What shall we do? For our God made a way. We'll give him our thanksgiving. Magnify his holy name.
Yeah, so the vocals are kind of crushing a little bit, like they're distorting a little bit. And so I know you said in your submission that you tried my M32 stereo bus mix, and you just maybe couldn't get it dialed in right. I would say maybe dive back into that. Record your stems off of your X32 of a service, and then that will be able to, you can play that back and go back and test things. Because you may need these vocals this loud in the house for some reason, but on the stream, they're just kind of on top of everything. You got tracks in there kind of helping out, which is great. But the vocals are just kind of overpowering things is kind of my first thought. Let's listen a little bit more.
What shall we do? We shall lift up a shout. What shall we do? We shall praise him. What shall we do? For our God made a way. We'll give him our thanksgiving.
Even when the rocks cry out, we're gonna dry them out with a louder shout of praise. Even when the battle's rough, we're gonna praise you, Lord, 'cause you are always.
As far as cameras go, you got 2 side cameras and 1 central camera. I just don't have any context for like the space. That center shot is still pretty tight. And so I wish there was a wide shot that kind of gave me some kind of idea. It probably is not that large of a space, but just something to be able to see. If I'm a first-time viewer, where are we living at? What if I go back to the beginning? A lot of times, you know, that's where I would want to stick it, is like coming right out of the countdown.
Good morning, church.
No. So yeah, I would open there. It's fine to open with a tight shot of who's speaking if they're coming right out of the countdown, but then maybe eventually get to a wide shot where it establishes kind of that space, is what I would do for the live stream viewer. I mean, but yeah, your coloring on this 4K looks good. I like those tight shots that you're trying to get to. Your lyrics get a little lost sometimes. Are you doing... Why was there a countdown in the middle? Oh, it was like multiple services all in one stream? Huh. Okay. What? If y'all have multiple services, do you just do one live stream and just keep it going? Or maybe that was something else. Yeah, it's something else. A little shakiness on that camera, so I'm not sure if it's on a platform, but you know, you're seeing some leg shake there. That's something we deal with too. Maybe try to isolate that camera tripod from the platform that the person's either, maybe a media booth that people are walking around in, something like that too. So it's just kind of distracting. I would also say this gobo going the whole time that somebody's just talking, that it's on the floor is fine to me. I would make it not as focused. I would make it more out of focus if those have the ability to do that. And I would also slow that down a lot. It's just a little distracting, in my opinion. So, all right. There you go. Thank you for submitting. Hopefully those thoughts were somewhat helpful. Seriously, just off the cuff, because I've not watched any of these. All right. Lighthouse Fellowship, you are completed. Not deleted. I did delete you, but completed sounded not as mean. Valley View Christian Church, Daniel Ortiz, are you in the house? Let me know in the chat. They're using 4 Panasonic AGX 350s. I think those are camcorders, if I am guessing correctly. And then a Yamaha CL5 with Waves plugins. So let's come over here and see what we see and hear what we hear. Y'all let me know what you do in the chat.
Praise the Lord, oh my soul. I won't be quiet, my God is alive. How could I keep it inside? Oh, I won't be quiet, my God is alive. How could I keep it inside? Oh, I won't be quiet, my God is alive. How could I keep it inside? Praise the Lord, oh my soul. Come on, can somebody give him praise this morning? Amen.
I don't know, I feel like I'm hearing some kind of odd doubling or like phasing stereo spread thing. So even the vocal, I don't know, are y'all hearing that? It's like not down the middle. It's like, and also not at the same time. Even the toms and stuff, I was hearing a little bit.
When I'm in earth is hard, I won't go under.
Her vocal's doing it too, right? I'm not crazy, right?
And when I'm in over my head, I know that you won't let me down. And when I'm broken,
It's almost like there's like a chorus effect on everything.
I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up.
Could be audience mics messing with it, maybe? Yeah, okay. But it doesn't really sound like that to me. It doesn't have that sound. It's like it's the same recorded sound to me that's doing it. It could be though.
Even through the deepest valley,
I wonder if it's some random Waves plugin.
you are here. For I know you'll never leave me. Your love surrounds me, I won't fear. When I'm broken and down to nothing.
What do you mean, like time aligning mouth lip sync, or you saying audio delays like with the crowd mics? See, and if you have crowd mics, if you mount them right underneath the PA or on that front lip of the stage, you shouldn't have to time align them. The only time you're time aligning them is if you're out in the middle of the room or out by the soundboard or something like that. Yeah.
Something good.
I don't mind this slider shot. It is a little odd that it's in the projection every time. Obviously, you're cutting for iMag here. Framing and stuff seems to be good. Pacing of cutting seems to be good. Obviously, you got this awesome LED wall behind everybody, which makes for a great backdrop. I've really been focusing on the audio, sorry. But like, The thing with the IMAG shots is like when it's delayed, that's when it draws my eye to it. When you cut to it in the broadcast, it's there quicker than when it pops on the screen because of just the natural latency of going up to the projection. So it's not a big deal. It's nothing you can do about it really, but do you have any handhelds or anything? We have 4 Panasonic AGX 350s. So I think you're doing... Here's a different shot. I love the energy of your team, though. Like, man, I can tell y'all are worshiping. Just having fun serving the Lord, serving the church. Love that. Let's go.
Come on, can somebody say amen?
Listen to him talk. Let's listen.
Come on, do you believe that he's doing something good in this place today? And I don't know about you, but I want to receive that he's doing something good in my life, in your life, in this city, in this nation. Amen. Come on, it's a beautiful day to worship God today. Not because...
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something to kind of track down in your signal chain, probably, to see. And if we go back and watch other live streams of theirs, that may not have been like an issue. It may have just been like a 1 week thing where they had their X32 routed back into aux 1 and 2 like me. Like I did. So, yeah, it was doing it there with him speaking Fam TV. It sounded weird. It was still like, I don't know. It sounded weird. So, something to look at there. Remember, audio, in my opinion, is king. Lighting is queen. Video is like, I don't know, Prince or something. I don't know. I stopped the analogy at that point, but in the course. Audio is king, though, man. People want, they don't know it, but audio is what's keeping them there. It ties it all together. So, anyways, let's keep on going. Oh, wait. Did I already delete that one? No. Yeah, okay. Completed. Jesus Holy Church. Simeon Guma. They're rocking a Sony a6400 with an 18-135 with an ATEM Mini. And they're using some plugins in their streaming software to get some better audio. So, 1 camera is what they've got, supposedly.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah.
జీవించునది నీ కృప ఎదిగించునది నీ కృప హెచ్చించునది నీ కృప మాత్రమే.
Oops, sorry.
నీ కృపయే కావలెను నీ కృపయే చాలును.
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing with 1 camera is like, how do you be dynamic and keep things smooth? It looks like you're on a tripod, at least. A Sony a6400 is not like your typical thing you'd be doing zooming in and out with. Does an a6400 have that little zoom rocker on it? Unless you're using a PZ lens. Oh. I thought I heard feedback. Anyways. All right, we got some groove going there. Let's keep going here and see. I mean, the picture quality of it doesn't look bad. Obviously, the struggle is like, so far we've just seen him and your worship leaders. This literally could just be them doing a live stream, in this church without a congregation. If you had a wide enough lens, I think you said it's an 18-135. So if you could start at a wider focal length to kind of show, you know, if there's anybody, show the rest of your congregation there. And then come in tight for those other ones. That's what I would try to do. Obviously, if you had just one other camera to be able to bail to a wide shot and then set up these tights with your A6400, that's probably what I would do to kind of go between. That maybe would be my next step. I mean, and remember, like, when I started, it was just like throw my iPhone up at the back of the room, lean it against the hymnals and just hit go live on Facebook. And that was fine for a minute. So hot take question. Are stage designs dead? From Fam TV. I mean, here's the deal. With any trend in the church, anywhere, like the pendulum just wants to swing back and forth. And if everybody's doing it, then the people who set the trend think that it's no longer trendy. And so then it's like, well, now let's just have white. Let's just have all white everywhere. And just like, we'll have these 30-foot LED walls and we'll just put black text on them. Why? Why would you, like, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, we're like minimalist creative. Like, I mean, so are stage designs dead? I mean, I think the era of like, if you build it, they will come, where it's like, let's have an airplane, coming out of the clouds, like a VBS style. Like there was a moment there where churches were kind of doing VBS style stage designs. Like, yeah, those are definitely, that time was short-lived and dead. And then, yeah, I think the trend for sure is like not flipping your stage designs like every 3 months. People were feeling like they needed to do that with every sermon series. So I think the trend is people are like, let's just figure out a way to utilize our stage in a way that it can last us a lot longer between having to change it up. What are some ways we can implement a design that's multifunctional and has multiple looks, so it's not just one design, like it's kind of can be multiple layers. So that's my thoughts. All right, before we move on to the next live stream review, what are you guys thinking about, like all the new technology from like NVIDIA? I'm not a Windows guy. If y'all are Windows people, I'm hearing lots of hubbub about like the new GPUs from NVIDIA and like, you don't even need a Mac Mini now. Like these things blow it out of the water for way less money. And like, I don't know anything about Windows anymore. And I'm probably never, well, I don't want to say never, but like, educate me in the comments. Should I be like, if I should be looking at a small Windows machine for some use case, what would that new thing be that's come out? Is there a new GPU that is like, oh, if you're going to throw this in something, use this? I don't know. Are y'all even following any of that stuff? Seen anything interesting from that? Something new that we are trying in 2025 is full frame cameras. In our smaller worship venue, I have begun utilizing some S5 Mark IIs. And so these are they're really great full frame cameras from Panasonic, and I mean, like, for a smaller space, they have really done a good job in there. And like, I still love my Micro Four Thirds cameras, and I kind of want to make a video about like when the sensor, like when each sensor size is best for each application, if that makes sense. So it's just, I don't know, like, it's been working well though, and the picture quality is on another level, I will say that. But low light, small space, larger, like greater, shallower depth of field, all those things have been valuable in a 170 seat auditorium. So separation from background, ease, all those things. Yeah, it's been good. So I don't know, I know I'm like the Micro Four Thirds guy kind of, so I'm sorry, but I hope you guys can appreciate. So like, here is myself kind of going over with my son before Christmas Eve service, like our new setup. This is the S5 Mark II with a 24-105. We're just using it on a monopod. There you can see it's all going through a Feel World monitor that's powering the Teradek Ace 500. And then that Ace 500 is sending the wireless signal back to our ATEM 2ME Constellation HD. And then we also have the, you can see it over there on that right side, the Hollyland Tally, which, man, I just love those things. They just work. And there's even times where I watch our director's feed. If you guys don't follow my production channel, like I actually stream our production stuff behind the scenes. Oh gosh, I'll try to throw that in the chat here in a little bit. I'll watch them back sometimes, and I catch them like not even saying like you're live. They're just like, they're watching the tally. It's fine, you know? So I don't know. I mean, tally is a great thing though. It's a game changer, and I can't believe we lived our lives that long without it. But I mean, the downsides of the full frame stuff, like, I mean, it is true. Like, this is a 24-105 f4 lens. Oop, I don't want to take off that. You know, 24-105 f4. So that's a pretty beastly lens. It's got a, image stabilization. This is a full frame lens. This is a Micro Four Thirds lens. This is equivalent to a 70-200. So much bigger even lens than this. And this has internal zooming, constant f2.8 aperture. This is what we use on our gimbal because it's super lightweight. It has, image stabilization in the lens, internal zooming, so the weight doesn't get thrown off. It's light, and f2.8 lets in the same amount of light. That's what people don't understand a lot of times, is like f2.8 on full frame, f2.8 on Micro Four Thirds is the same amount of light to the sensor. It's just your depth of field is going to be different because of where you stand in relationship because of your sensor size. And so I probably should make a whole video about all of these things. And there's more to come with that in the new year. We've actually got a second course in the works for church video teams that I'm kind of developing. So that Hollyland Tally is expensive though. I agree. I mean, yeah, you could throw together an Tally Arbiter, like a little orange sticks of like, DIY stuff for really cheap, or Raspberry Pis or something. But like the great thing about it is it's an all-in-one thing. That's what you're paying for, and it just works. So I say that it works after I updated the firmware. So it is a little expensive. I have a full video on my channel that you can look at. But yeah, I love the tallies. It's been great. And I think that my tech guys would agree. Just checking the chat here before going to our next live stream review. Let's keep going here. Got that one. Okay, Parkway Church, Carly Moore. Carly, let me know if you're here in the chat. They're using Blackmagic Studio cameras, Constellation 2ME, Solidcom C1 with hubs for comms. Yeah, they're pretty good. They need help getting consistent broadcast audio, and the zoom, pan, focus with their current cameras is not easy. They're bringing in audio from their Wing via Dante into Logic in a Mac Studio using X-Touch. Okay. Let me pull this up over here. Okay. Just getting it set up here. Do. All right, we'll go from there. That's fine. Okay.
In the strife,
little shaky camera there.
Struggle. Church, this is true. God is strong when you are weak. Here it is. Oh, His love is an army fighting by your side. His love is a rescue in the raging fire. Grace is rising like a battle cry. Hallelujah, Jesus saves. So we won't stop singing when the lights go out. We won't stop singing when we're feeling down. And stay silent, there's a love we found. Hallelujah, Jesus saves. Yes, He does.
I mean, that's a creative choice, going with the extended fade time between there on the cross dissolve. I probably wouldn't do it, especially on a fast song. She looks a little underexposed on that shot. All right, so I feel like this camera right here has got to be like an auto or something, because the other camera was a little underexposed. This one is really showing what looks like a giant fog cloud, but I haven't seen that in any of the other shots, so I don't feel like it's there. It's just like really auto exposing, maybe auto ISO. They look pretty good on camera, so I don't know. They look kind of purpley to me, but that could just be the lighting.
Hallelujah,
So I don't know about, like, I'm struggling with this because I've listened to a lot of things now, and we're in this now for more than 2 hours. It's kind of just sounding like a wall of sound. I'm not hearing the musicality of, like, all of your instrumentalists that I know learned all their parts. You can tell they're engaged. You got a great team that's way into it. And I just circle back to what Tyler was kind of talking about, that like creating space in our audio mix. And what are you guys hearing that maybe needs to be tucked back?
Jesus saves.
Maybe it is a little foggy on each side of the stage, or maybe it's just these shots. I don't mind this shot as much. Okay, so there's no more purple lighting. Let's look at their skin tones. What do you guys think? I think it's okay. Yeah. Vocals seem like a little dry, like they could use a touch of reverb. I almost want like a little more drums, a little, dare I say it, less guitars. It's hard for me to say. And yeah, some people are talking about like maybe just utilizing the stereo field a little more to create more space maybe. I feel like I'm being hard on you guys. Honestly, I think you guys are killing it. Like I'm watching and you're really engaging the room, and I think it's coming across with your directors on the live stream and stuff too. So let's just keep watching.
Praise is rising like a battle cry. Hallelujah, Jesus saves.
I've never heard this song. And look, your church is engaged. Let's go. Does that door bother anyone else? Good shot. I like the framing. Like, does it not seem like this keyboard is like in the glory cloud over here? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. I mean, I think your band's doing a great job. Yeah, maybe you could play with some camera positionings, some audio things in there. I think you guys have great bones for continuing to make it even better. Woo, fellas, we're into this 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I know many of you have been on here the whole time. So it has still been snowing here. And so I think I'm going to call it a day. It's my day off anyways, y'all. And I've been vlogging all week, every single day. So I don't know. The whole time I'm kind of like, should I even do this? Like, are people even going to watch this? Probably not, but it's fun. I like doing the vlogs. It's kind of fun. Most of the time. It's hard to do work and vlog at the same time. But if you look at my channel, at the top it says like documenting the journey. So the running joke though is like, I don't know if you guys have ever gotten this as a worship pastor, the funny person who's like, must be nice to be a worship pastor. You just only have to work one day a week. So, and I have had a comment from somebody here on YouTube that's like, hey, I'm a worship pastor. I'm just kind of like struggling to fill my time during the week. Like, what kind of things do you do? And so I enjoy those like week in the life vlogs. So if I post it, hopefully you guys will watch it and enjoy. If you have not watched that Preston Wood tour of Gift of Christmas, try to check it out this weekend, and leave a nice comment to offset some of the haters and the trolls. You guys know how that goes. Anyways, yeah, thanks for holding on the live stream with me, guys. It was a super fun one. Really appreciate Tyler, and got Stephen Shepard coming on in February. So, and then more lined up for 2025. It's going to be a great year. So thank you guys for hopping on, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah. You guys have a good rest of the January. Check out the new vids I'm going to be posting. Lots to come.